Alright, guys. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. Let me just double check, make sure you guys can hear me. It looks like the audio is bouncing, so I should be listenable, I guess. All right. Oh, well, welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, so long story short, still working on that third person character controller. I got the firing system onto enemies. Now I got to set up their colliders, set up ragdolls, all that other good stuff. Oh, lots of stuff to do still. So I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I don't want to waste time. I love level design. Let's do something different, and while I'm doing these, I'll go back to those and get that Resident Evil level all finished up. So, welcome everybody to GameDevHQ. We're gonna do a little level design, and out of the blue, yesterday I kind of picked the topic, talking with John. Like, you know, it'd be cool. It's like, what if Star Wars? And we just kept going back to Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. I was like, why don't I just do a level design on Star Wars? And he's like, yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool. So, what we're gonna do is, I'm just picking a topic for level design, and one of the ideas that I had was, let's do the Star Wars hangar, because it's got a lot of tech elements inside of it. It's very iconic. It doesn't have a whole lot of it's not character focused, character driven environment, so to speak. It's very much like a scene that as soon as you see it, you recognize it is the Death Star, or it's some sort of hangar. So you got these like tech plating elements hanging all around, and you have it looks like in general like slanted angled walls above and below. There's a lot of glow. There's a lot of different light effects and elements. I see a lot of wires and piping and machinery and assets, barrels, space barrels, containers, ships, things like that. And I was like, this would be a great scene to build using Filebase. But not just a great scene to build using Filebase, but it's a great scene where we can take Filebase assets and manipulate them to get them working properly inside of our Unity game. So, what type of post-processing profile, are we going to use? Well, the way I look at it, it's two things. If you're going to choose a pipeline, you got two choices. You got the universal rendering pipeline, which is the replacement for the lightweight rendering pipeline, which is the upgrade to the standard rendering pipeline. And then you have the second one, which is the HDR pipeline. And the way I would generally state which one would I prefer to use, if you're planning on baking or having a lot of like shadows and dynamic lights and you want it to look semi-realistic, stick with the HDRP. If you want 2D, or if you want simple dynamic objects, and what I mean by dynamic is objects that are going to stay, that are not going to be baked, they're not going to be set to static. If you're going to have a lot of those objects, then go ahead and use universal rendering pipeline. So that's kind of what I would say. I think there's a big fear of using the HDR pipeline, and it's kind of unnecessary. It's pretty friendly so far. I mean, there have been some hiccups and some bumps along the way, but for the most part, it's worked pretty well. And so, let's see. What we'll do is we'll kind of focus in on that. Blender Geek, you've talked a lot about this this Battlefront pre-animation, and so I guess the best answer is there's no easy answer for something like that. Um, it's so dependent on what you're doing. I believe I understand where you respawn and you start at the top of the map and you like quick zoom snap into your character's vision. I imagine that's something to do with Cinemachine, but there's no answer I can give you right now. It's like, oh, just click on this button, you're done. It's a big effect. So it's something I'd actually have to sit down and decipher. If I were to be a betting man, though, I would use a dynamic state machine for your camera. So you could actually in Cinemachine, and that's kind of how we did the first person or the third person camera. When you go in and you zoom in on your character, what they're aiming at, and then you right click the button as well, and it zooms back out. You set a state. I think they're called dynamic state cameras, where you could switch between either one. So what they probably did, well, what you could probably do is start with your main camera, which is the top-down view, and then set an animation for that state for like 1 frame, and then have Unity blend from that 1 frame to the actual third person or first person character controller view. And in my just thinking about it, that's probably the easiest way that you could do that kind of movement where you're going from top down to where it eases into your first person perspective. But that would be my best suggestion for you right there. But yeah, okay, so talking about this Battlefront, talking about these level designs, one of the things that I like to do in my level design, and I'm on a 21:9, so I got a side monitor right here. Where the heck did everything go? Oops. I'm on a side monitor right there, so if you guys are using or if you guys see me like move my window in and out, that's why. It's just because I am swapping between the stuff on the side. And then what we'll do is we'll just kind of push forward and start doing some level design. Let me check in on the chat real quick. Let's see. Hi, could you show me how to spawn an item near a tree? What tree? What item? How to do effect. If I have an apple and a pen, what can I do? I draw a face on the apple, I think. I don't know. That's a good question. All right. We've already had some interesting conversation today, and it's 9:15 a.m. So to get started, let's just start with getting some assets. Now, prior ones, I was able to use GDHQ. I had someone build a level in advance, and I was able to kind of work off of that. This one, I don't have that. So what I'm going to be doing this time is I'm going to be using reference photos and building things off of that area. So it's going to be a lot more organic, a little more tricky, but we'll get through it. And then we will import. So the first thing I'm going to do is import in my Filebase system tool. Now, for, of course, those of you who don't know what Filebase is, or have never heard of it, or don't quite understand what the purpose of it is, Filebase is our own game development toolkit that we created at GameDevHQ. And inside of here, we have a great little tool called Filebase, and it started off more like a tool to help us build courses, but it's quickly turned into this gigantic library of assets that we use to build levels. And if you guys are interested, you could test out Filebase. All you have to do is go to GameDevHQ.com and hit the download now button. And once you get that, you just hit the download now, and it adds a project file into your downloads area. It should be called something like 3.1.1 Unity package. And you just drop that into your project area. And then once you've done that, just go to Filebase and you're all set. And to open Filebase, which is interesting, you got to click on Window and go to the Filebase button. And it's going to load. And once it loads here, we get access to all of the assets inside of Filebase. And so I'm going to make sure that I search sci-fi. And sci-fi is probably going to give me all the assets that I really need to make this environment work. We have a lot of plasma turrets, a lot of cannons, a lot of stuff, but we're also going to need a lot of these sci-fi rooms, these sci-fi doors, elements. These are going to be important. We also, let's see what else we're going to need here. A lot of these floors are going to come into play, walls and corridors, ceilings. These things are also going to look good if we decide to tilt them and make them a sort of what am I thinking? A ceiling element. I see a lot of these slanted type of entryways and doorways and things like that, where it's not just a straight vertical, but they slanted it. So you got the floor cutting in and all this other stuff. But also the beauty is that it's very dark. Every shot of this hangar is extremely dark. It's not very well lit, so it's going to allow us to cheat a lot. And we'll be able to throw some piping and throw some other things in front of it to kind of hide the fact that this is these doors are not perfectly built for Star Wars. And I want to emphasize this. We are not building Star Wars assets. We are building sci-fi assets. And we're going to show you on the stream, hopefully, how to manipulate some of these assets so that you can make these apply to whatever theme it is that you want. And you don't have to worry about having to hire something specific. And also it gives you, the programmer, the developer, the coder, the artist, the ability to build creatively versus being hunkered down to say, I need this asset pack. Otherwise I can't build this thing. So I'm going to focus in on my reference. Now, for those of you who don't use reference photos, shame on you. Reference photos are essential, and I'm probably going to lean on this one a lot because it has a lot of the things that I'll need. Reference photos are essential. If you guys are building levels based off what you think you see in your head, you're doing it wrong. In all art, in all everything, you have to study the material. The people who could do it without looking, they've practiced it so many times that they've memorized their movements. It's all muscle control at that point. But for us, we need to see the assets. We need to see the environments. We need to kind of really take a real strong particular look at how everything is laid out so that we can build the proper looking environment inside of this. So don't try to just guess in any game. Don't try to guess what it should look like. Go online, find reference photos, stack a bunch of them onto the side, and that way you always have something to go back to when it doesn't look right. You could be like, oh, I need to add this, I need to add this, I need to add this, and then everything will turn out well. Okay, so I'm going to start with this idea, and I'm going to look at a couple assets. I know I need like wall panels. That's going to be important. I need floors, wall panels, ceilings. So I'm going to start here at number 1. And I'm going to start grabbing some walls and floor panels and ceilings. I'm going to grab this sci-fi room wall, and I'm just going to hit download. And of course, you don't get access to everything that does. You get access to things that don't have the shield, but the things that do have the shield, you need to sign up for a pro account, which I'll show you a little bit in just a second. But we're running a great discount right here on the bottom. There's this thing called Jedi 2020. So when you sign up for GameDevHQ, and let's see, if I were, how do I go incognito? Is it this? There you go. Or actually, I don't even need to do that. I could go to GameDevHQ and in upgrade. If I were to click the upgrade button and I clicked on the pro and I wanted to do a yearly, I could register now. It's expensive, but then if I just hit the Jedi 2020 and hit apply, now it's $99 a year, which is, when you think about $99 a year, like $9 a month, it's a pretty darn good deal. Okay, so just go ahead and log in, and I'll hit download, and I'm going to start grabbing assets that I think will work to fit my scene. And if they don't, I'll get rid of them. But if they do, I'll keep them around. The beauty is once you do locate and download an asset, I can click the locate button and it will find that particular asset in my file structure. I also have my asset located up here, which is in this location, this like that download view all downloads folder structure, which is really nice because eventually you'll get like 25, 35, 60 assets into this thing. Going through and looking at the names is incredibly difficult, but to see a nice little thumbnail and be like, oh, that's the one, really convenient, makes life pretty darn easy. So I'm going to go back to my search, and I'm going to go back to my sci-fi search. I got those walls. I'll add the doors in a little bit later. And I'm going to go ahead and add in, let's go ahead and bring in these floors. Let's see. Looks like I love Half-Life games. They were giving them away for free. And I was like, well, I'm going to grab as many as I can. So I grabbed those. Let's see. And Mike Shade says he has a real hard time getting environments to load in textures with all weird, but I think it's because I didn't have URP enabled. It was the 2.5D one specifically. Yeah, it may have been the universal rendering pipeline. Where I'm starting to go back and update a lot of these to the URP since it's starting to become standard, and I want to make sure that we're on the latest versions of everything. Oh, if they are still pink, yeah. And I'll show you quickly how to fix that. Get a bunch of these assets in. Okay, hit import. Now the cool thing about sci-fi, which I always like, is that if you're aware, a lot of sci-fi elements are just repetitive, and one of the easiest ways to build a sci-fi scene is to create a prefab and have these prefabs replicate over and over again. Let's see. Isn't this great? This is so easy. So many assets, so easily downloaded. Free for free. Oh my god, I was wrong. The trees create money. I don't know what that meant. Let's see. Download, download, download. So I saw a bunch of the um I saw a bunch of the Game Jam entries that you guys did. Um, really cool stuff. I'm really amazed that you guys are able to put these games together. One thing that I consistently noticed is that you guys had playable games. It wasn't just games that were following a tutorial or something. Like you guys legitimately had playable video games that someone could pull out and start jamming on, which is freaking awesome. I thought that was so cool. um so very impressive, guys. Very impressive to see what you guys came up with. Now, if you're just tuning in, I'm just grabbing a bunch of assets off of Filebase that are sci-fi oriented, mainly floors and walls. I'm not going to worry about the props so much right now. Ooh, sci-fi floors. I want to grab those. I have a weird question using Pro Builder. Some stuff happened and took a month break, but now when I click, it jumps. Why by user? I have no idea. Let's see. Here's the download. Import. More walls, more environments. Oh, electrical assets. These are going to be really good to use right here. I'll have to keep a mental note on the sci-fi trays. These are great ones to have. You know, they got all the wires already pre-built into them, so we could use that to create some nice exteriors. Yeah, no, I was very impressed by what you guys came up with. Um, Very creative, very interesting looking. Um, yeah, I mean, definitely be proud of what you did. You guys did fantastic. Um, and I'm sure for a lot of you, it was the first time you've ever programmed a video game before. So, or if it's not, to come up with a first person shooter, or I saw a couple that were really cool. It looked like everybody was sanitizing everything. Like there was no prejudice against pulling out toilet paper and exploding people, or pulling out sanitizer and killing everything, and it was pretty interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with my sci-fi floors, 01 through 12, and I'm going to look at my sci-fi floor right here. It's pretty flat, pretty even, really shiny, lack of color, um, very type of modernish, so to speak. And so let's see, and we have a hangar, so we got a big location, and so let's take a look at some of our floors here. And of course, you could see the little preview of each element down here. I wish there was a way to adjust the lighting in this, because it's always so crappy in this little window. We got some nice floor panels. I think 1 and 2 are probably the tops right now, and we'll probably build around these two. So I'm just going to drop these in the scene, and in my scene view, yep, here's the perspective of them. Um, And, we could create an easy stitching of assets simply by clicking and dragging, and we can create our floor element, which is pretty straightforward. And then what I'll do is, it looks like some of these, I know they probably didn't do it intentionally, but there's kind of like this painted border treatment. We could do that with a decal, so I'm not so concerned with that. So we could probably, but I would like to create some sort of maybe like a grid pattern where there's kind of like a breaking. There's also this kind of neat little underground hangar dip right there. So it would be kind of cool to have something like that in our scene as well. Looking at these games, there's areas where there's grids, and it kind of breaks up the repetitiveness of the floor, which will be good. So we'll go ahead and do that. And what I may do is duplicate these as like a 4x4. Duplicate those. So this will be kind of like our floor element. So these will repeat over and over and over again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create an empty game object. And I'm going to call this center floor panel. And I'm just going to reset my transform. And I can do that by right-clicking and hit reset. And it will reset my sci-fi floor. And then what I may do, where do I want to put these? I don't want these prefabs to get wiped out just in case I update my assets. So I'm actually going to create an external prefab folder. And then I'll create a new folder in here called environment. And then I'm just going to drop my center floor panel into here. And the reason why I would do that is so that if I do decide to change my my floor panels, I can easily, and I could see it on a mass scale. Now, when I'm moving these, I am holding the control button. Because I'm holding the control button, you can see that it goes at whole values, which is exactly where I want to go. All right. So, just quickly make a 4x4. And what I may do is duplicate these. So that would go here at -12. All right, so that's going to be kind of the basis of my floor panels. And let me just go ahead and duplicate these. And this is going to be, let's just assume this is my whole area right here. Yeah, I think this will be good. Hey, Vlad, welcome. How are you doing? Family's good. Everyone's good. No one's got corona, which I'm very excited about because that would really suck. But no, we're all doing good. Let's see. Is there any sort of foliage painter in Unity? So you need foliage assets, and there's two types of foliage you could use. One is a type of what am I gonna say? It's using 2D to create grass, and another one is you're actually placing 3D assets that are 3D models of plants, which are two completely different things. But yeah, there's a terrain tool inside of Unity that you'll be able to use. Okay, so I created that real quick. Let me go back to this. We got our flat panels. We're gonna have those light elements, but this one doesn't have any of the holes that are in the ground that I really want to build next, because I think that would be a really cool element to add. So let me just find that perfect photo reference. I think it was this one right here. So yeah, it's got this kind of like this hangar drop down. Ooh, they even got like ladders and like a second railing up here, which would be a cool sci-fi element to add in. So I'm going to create this like this piece that kind of dips into the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and then let's see. Let's go ahead and set it. Let's go ahead and set it right here in this center one. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to do an unpack prefab. Why did I do that? Because right now these are all set to this kind of like green box. This tells me it's a prefab. That tells me that it's pulling from this particular one asset. Why is that important? If I change this one asset, all the other assets are going to change. So if you right click on here and do a break prefab, it will pull this out, and now this is no longer connected as a prefab. It's its own separate unique entity at this point. So I can create this kind of underground sort of shell thing that goes down below. So let's take a look at this. It has a ridge around it, and then it drops down, and then there's kind of like these plates that create this edging that surrounds it. So I'm going to go ahead and take all these assets right there, and I may just delete these for right now. So I have my hole, and I'm going to go back to my GDHQ Filebase because I want to take a look at these elements and see which one is essential. All right, so I like I'm having a debate between the floors. I'm going to do the ridge with the floors, and then I will do some of the wall elements with these sci-fi walls. So I'm going to go ahead and locate the floor right here. I'm just going to shrink this up a little bit. I'm going to keep this on the side of my window so I can always go back to it. Inside of here, I want to look for the nice thin type of flooring, which we have these elements right here. Let's see. They're kind of a thinner panel. So I'll grab this one right here. And of course, if you hold the control button, you can scroll along easily. I'm going to press F to kind of zoom in, and I'm going to pull these up because these are actually going to stick out of my my floor, and I'm going to rotate this, and this will be more of like the side. So I'll do this one here, and do this one here, and I'll grab these two, whoops, duplicate that, and I'll position these over onto this side. And now I'll create the centerpiece elements, or the side elements right here, which I'll use probably this thinner floor right over here. Grab that in position, and then I'm going to use the V as in Victor, which you guys have probably seen me do 1,000 times already, to snap my floor element against the side. And let's make sure that these line up really well. There we go. And let's see. I think I need to give it a little more height, so I'll do that. And that looks good. We'll duplicate this, place this over here, and we'll worry about that centerpiece in just a second. Let's see. If you don't have money, buy money. It's free. Okay. All right. It looks like somebody is upset because GDHQ ain't free. And I, I've heard this conversation 1,000 times before, and I'll be quite frank with you. I'll tell you guys my opinion of this. Um, if you're getting into game development, it's not cheap. Yeah, you'll hear about these success stories, these once in a lifetime. Someone managed to build a game, and they made $1 billion off of a $30 investment, and that's great. I mean, there's going to always be that individual, but for the reality of people, that's not going to happen. It's not going to be cheap to become successful. You're going to have to pay for it, and our product isn't free. I Sorry, it's just not. We spend a lot of money hiring people to build GDHQ assets, and we keep them employed, and we put food on their table, and we do it because we love them and we know they work hard for it. And I'm not going to give away their hard work product because someone says, well, it should be free. No, it shouldn't. This is it comes out of my wallet, and it comes out of my family's wallet. But we try to give everybody the greatest discount possible, um, for what we do. And if someone doesn't like it, screw them. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm at the point in my life where I don't need everyone to like me. But I also know that if somebody had this system for me while I was learning how to do game development, I would have gotten 1,000 times further, instead of paying for assets every single time I needed something. So yeah, I mean, if someone wants to get on here and get all pissy and angry about having to pay a little bit of money to access Filebase, go be angry. I don't care. You weren't my customer, but also you don't quite understand that game development is not cheap. It's not easy. It's not inexpensive. It's not this thing where you could pull out a guitar and become a rock star overnight. No, I mean, it's expensive. Training is expensive. Um, Learning is expensive. I mean, there's colleges that charge hundreds of thousands of dollars per year just to get to the same point that we're going to leave you guys at, hopefully, in like 3 weeks. So yeah, I just don't have time. If this person's angry, let them be angry. That's fine. Go ahead. I think we offer one of the greatest products out there. And if they don't like it, then they can go be upset somewhere else. And again, if game development was cheap, then A, everyone would do it, and B, there'd be no value in game developers. I mean, it's a weird thing right here that I sometimes hear, and it's just, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but at the same time, you know, people need to just calm down. They just need to calm down a little bit. All right. So what I am doing right now is I am setting up this kind of like a drop down area. Now, the beautiful thing about game development is if you don't have a collider, then you could actually stick assets through other assets, and there's really no cost, no penalty to it. So, to get that nice little complicated look, I can take an item, and kind of layer it in with other assets, to create something a little bit unique, a little bit different. Awesome. Thank you, DB. Yes, Vlad, thank you. Thank you for that. Same thing with you, Ben. And thank you, Peggy, for that. Oh, of course, Peggy, you're always here. It's always a good to have you here. Yeah, just some people, some people's kids, um, just want it all for free. I don't get it. And at the same time, it's like, well, are you going to give away your game for free? Are you looking to not make any money off of it? If you were to charge money for your game, would that be a hypocrisy? Possibly. All right. So I'm off it. Whatever. Okay. So I'm creating this kind of hangar. I'm not worried about this yellow color yet. I'm not worried about it yet. I'll show you why, guys, later. Okay. So I'm gonna create these. I got these floors in. We could take these sci-fi walls, and we got a bunch to choose from. I'm going to choose, let's say, this one right here. And let's see, we got some cool pipes. Yep. Awesome. So I'll just throw all three of these into here. And we're just going to shift these down and rotate and position. And we'll rotate this around. And, you know, I may just turn off the... Oh, gosh, the lighting. Ay. It's so flat in here. So dark. I may just have to turn off the lighting for just a second. And I'm going to rotate this particular one this way. And let's see. Oh, let me move this one over here. Now, you know, the funny thing is this is not art, so to speak. This is just stitching things together. I would say. I don't know of a better term for it, but the art's already done. You know, the art part of this whole thing is already completed. Now we're just taking things and sizing them up and laying them out to be almost like a Lego block building system. So you can adjust assets in two different ways. If you don't know, there's a center button, which if you do the center toggle, it adjusts assets this way. Or if you turn off the center, you can actually adjust assets this way. And it's completely based on your pivot. So I'm just going to adjust this wall like that. And that way I get this nice little wall element. And I can duplicate this, go to my center, rotate the whole thing instead of rotating individual elements based on their pivots. And now, you know, I got this wall system that can go further and further down into this area. And I will also grab, let's see, I'm going to grab these two, duplicate this. Position that right there. And I may just stretch these out a little bit. Boom. There we go. Oops. Let me select these. I'm going to push these back just a touch. So I still get those other elements popping through, which creates some randomness. Did you hear that The Last of Us 2 got delayed? I am so bummed out. Sadness. Okay. I think this is looking good. I think this is looking really good coming from this perspective. I think we need to maybe... What we'll do is we'll add some light elements on the top. And then we'll create something quite amazing. Let's see. Layering different assets that aren't important for the physics to create an interesting design. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. The lessons are fun. 2D or 3D? That's a great question, Blender. I would suggest start with 2D and then work up to 3D. That would be my suggestion, but you know, everyone's different. Everyone works at a different pace. So if you find that 3D is something that you would like to learn first, then by all means do 3D. Um, you know, but everyone that I've talked to has always said that 2D was easier to pick up on versus just jumping right into a 3D game development. Let's see. Yes, kit bashing. That's exactly what we're doing. It's exactly what we're doing. We are literally kit bashing an entire Star Wars scene together. And what that is we got a whole bunch of pre-made assets. We got a whole bunch of pre-made elements, and we're just kind of stitching them together. We're not creating them individually. Let's see. I would let's see. Adam asks, is it better to turn off the lighting? Just switch between the two. I don't think there's a problem with that. Okay, so starting with this sci-fi floor area, let me see which one. I think this is the first part of it. I'm going to create a brand new game object, and I may actually just center this into the middle of this prefab, kind of like that. And we're going to call this hangar hole. I guess that's the best description I can give for it. And now we take these and we drop these into the hangar hole. Let's see. I don't know what that was all about. And I'm going to take this hangar hole and I'm going to drop this into my prefab. So let's see. Oh, my environment prefab. Drop that into here. Perfect. So now this hangar hole is a prefab. So I could literally take this one prefab, and if I wanted to, I could drop it in as another prefab, which I do actually want to do. So let me see. I'm going to select this floor. I'm going to delete that, duplicate this, and set that right there. And then later on, when we decide to add lights, when we decide to add all other elements, we could adjust things so that, you know, it really comes and looks really good. Let's see. When building the shape of a level, is it better to turn off lighting? Oh yeah, I read that already. So let's say I'm going to leave this hangar right here, and I know I'm going to extend this further down, but I'm just going to leave this right here as kind of a placeholder. And then I'm going to go back to my references. Reference. Always look at references. Okay, so if we look at this floor, we know there's a lot of assets, a lot of things cluttering it around, but I don't see a whole lot of anything else on this floor. So let me take a look. We do have these scaffoldings and these staircases. Those are interesting. Those are important. We will add those, but are they necessarily floor elements? I don't know. Looking at the side of the wall, it looks like the Empire keeps the walk areas very clean. They're quite efficient, and they really care about OSHA standards, as as you can obviously tell. So I think we can start moving toward the walls. And I definitely noticed that the walls have a lot of slanting. The walls have a lot of like this neat little arch shape where it will layer upon layer itself a different doorway. So what we might want to do is let's create a couple unique doorways for our hangar wall. And then we'll worry about the wall itself and stuff like that. But if we were to create, let's say this is the opening right here. We know that there's going to be a square inside of it. So we'll push our asset to be inside this square, kit bash wise. And it's even got this little ledge right here because that's where like the doors seal together. So we got to remember that's there. And we'll build something pretty neat in that way, and then we'll be able to like layer it and hide it behind the actual wall. So let's go ahead and create a sort of like angular wall system. Uh, angular door. So I'm gonna actually go back And I'm going to mix the two. I'm going to mix, actually, let me create a empty game object. And I'll just call this floor panels, because I may be updating these later as prefabs. Let's see. And then I'll create another game object called floors. And we'll stick all this under one thing. And let's call this static. And we'll put all this under static. So we know all of our static elements are always going to be right here. We're going to be using HDRP, so that's going to be important for us. And then let's go ahead and create a hangar door. So I'm going to find the sci-fi floor, and I'm going to go ahead and grab, I want these this thin one right here. And I'm going to rotate this sort of like that. And I'm just going to get like a general shape. So let's do that. Let's get a general shape. Let's see. If I were to plop this like here, I actually need to shrink these down just a little bit. Oops. So 1, 2, pivot. Let's see. I need to go back and get these perfect at some point. I thought they were pretty darn close at one point, but oh well. All right, so if I have those, and then I were to, let's say, let's see what angle. I think what I may do is, oh, let's see. We'll create this sort of angle, one up, one side, one up, and kind of go from there. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'll go at a 45 degree. Now, if you hold the control button, you'll get that angular rotation. And I'm going to offset this. Sort of like that. So, I mean, it's kind of dependent on style-wise. If we do it like this, which we could, we have to make sure we add something there. But I'm going to actually just have all these elements push into the wall, and I'll just increase the size of this particular asset, thickness-wise. So it looks kind of like this. Then I move this over here, and I'll just slide it over to the side. So we got these two walls, and then I'll duplicate this. And then if I go to rotate, nope, that didn't work. Let's see. What is this sitting at? Is it 45? So I'll set this at 45 again. Set this at 45 again. I'll take these two. Let's see. Duplicate that. We'll place this underneath, and we'll make sure that we get something to hide that wall element right up there. And then once I get that, I'm going to grab this smaller floor element. And I may push this. Ooh, this would be interesting. Let's make this a little bigger. And we'll just position that just like this. And oh, these are not angled correctly. So let's see. What's the deal with that? There we go. I don't know what the deal with that was. So we're gonna have that that doorway right here, and then what will I do from here? Let's see. Let me lengthen this just a little bit. So we got this kind of hangar door going on. Take a sip of coffee. Let's go back to our reference photo. So we got those elements. We need some thickness in here, some tech that goes underneath, which should be really help this out. So let's see. I'm not going to use the floors. What I may do is locate. Let's see. Ooh, actually, the floors may have the best element. It's a long, dark element. Or maybe we can use even these. Oh, that would look good, right? So we just go ahead and position this like that. We'll shrink this down a little bit. Let's see. Okay, that looks good, right? I feel like I'm, what's that, Bob Ross. Look at that fluffy little cloud. Whenever I do these, I'm like, oh, isn't this beautiful, guys? Isn't this so relaxing? If you guys don't know who Bob Ross is, he's the artist that used to be on PBS all the time, and he was just, you know, he was really good. He would make like these amazing paintings in like 10 minutes. What felt like 10 minutes, but probably took a lot longer. But he was just a phenomenal artist. But he was always so unique because he had this like really calming presence to him. Like there was no tension in his voice whatsoever. Okay. So I got these two right here. And then I'm going to alternate here. So this right here, I'm going to move to be in this position. I'll duplicate this. I'll move that to this position. And then I'm going to take another floor element and stick it right there so it's not so repetitive. So where is that floor? Like I'll grab one of these right here. And I'm actually going to snap this as a child. And let's reset this so it matches that. And I'll pull it out. And oh, that totally didn't work. Let's see. One. I think one was on the width. Let me zoom in. Let me get this kind of even. There we go. And then I will place this up right there. Okay, here we go. Now we're cooking. Now we are cooking. And then I'm going to go to my front perspective view. Oops. Let's turn this way. I'll move this over to the side like that. And I'll grab these two floors, duplicate them, move them down. We'll slightly rotate them. Oh, make sure you hold that control button so you get that nice snap. Okay. All right. And let's see. The only big issue is I see these right here are kind of just jutting out. So we'll have to kit bash and hide something onto these joint areas so they don't look like a bunch of squares doing their thing. So it should take a little bit of time, but nothing too major. Okay, so we've got this here. We got this nice little kind of angular circular thing. I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to hit duplicate. And I'm going to bring this in just a little bit more so that we have the area where the door would actually slide in from and create another section. Ah, delicious, delicious. Okay. And then I'm going to duplicate this, place that there, duplicate it again. Place that here. And let's see. From this area, this would be a doorway right into the pit. Ha ha! We got you guys. You thought OSHA was gonna exist here. Nope, we were just kidding. So we would normally have like a door that would go over here, but in this case we don't have one. But what I'm curious of, and I'm probably going to hold off, is we may add some sort of like illumination into this area. But I'm going to hold off on that. So I'm going to create an empty game object. Let's reset her. And then I'm going to grab all these floors, place that into here. And I don't know what these null references are. They make no sense to me. I'm going to call this hangar door 01. We'll take that and we will drop this into our environment. So now this is a prefab. So we could take these hangar doors and set these like on the side of our model. And we could drop a couple in. Alright. So I'll duplicate this. We'll add another hangar door over here. And let's see, do they have variation in their doors? I'm curious, looking into their hangar. So you got the major hangar doors, and then you got like these. Do you have minor hangar doors? I don't see any, but I would imagine you would. Not everyone's. Oh, that's way too detailed. You got these like minor hangar doors, so I may end up doing something with those as well. So let's see. Yeah, I think I may create another hangar door variant. Details. So, boop, 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 boop. Alright, and I believe this is at 0. Oh, that's not the center of my scene. But I can get close. There we go. So we'll assume this area is going to be like the big hangar door that allows all the ships to come in to our area. And we could see, like, once we start really ramping this up, how much bigger we need to make it. But right now, we got a good start. So let's do. So I'm gonna create a secondary hangar element, a door element. It's gonna be kind of like an employee entrance, so to speak. So I'm going to duplicate this hangar door. I'm going to right click and I'm going to unpack the prefab. And that, of course, unpacks everything inside of here. So now I can, let's say, take this asset and let's say I don't want this stuff right here. And I'm not affecting the other ones. And what do these other doors look like? I can make these smaller, so I can use just one element versus the dual element I was doing. So do 3, 4, 5, and then I can grab all this stuff right here. Grab all this. Drop it down sort of like that. And let me look at my reference because I don't think that's how these doors look, but I will verify. Nope. Let's see. Well, they kind of do, right? Yeah, they kind of do. They need to be shorter. And then I'll take these assets right here. Just kind of kit bash it in. So that's what that door element would know. I could drop in spaceships, but you know, the spaceships I can also adjust the size of as well. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. Let's see. And I also, another reason why this is a good one, I have a bunch of spaceships I need to put up. Like a gratuitous amount of spaceships that I need to put up. Okay. This looks pretty cool. All right. And we'll have to play with the walls as soon as we get them, and placing them into here and then filling in the areas around it. But yeah, I think we got something interesting here. So let's talk walls. What do we got? We got some nice sci-fi corridor walls. Again, I'm not worried about the yellow. We'll get to that later. So, ooh, these are going to look good. Okay. So I'm going to drop all 3 of these into my scene. Oh, not close enough yet. Okay. I think that's close enough. All right. Now, let's take a look at this wall. Well, let me drop these into... Let's create a new folder. We're going to call these walls. And I'm going to reset this, place it into the static. I'm going to drop these walls in. That way, if I need to quickly hide those, I can. It's super easy. Peggy, I need to go, damn it. the cats have returned. Get back here, Mom. I need dinner. All right. So I'm going to add some space in between here. And then I think once I hit, let's add these doorways in. Looking at this reference, you know, they go up a little ways and then they angle upwards, which will be kind of like right, I would say, where this particular wall is. So I want to create some sort of like a gap here. I think it would just be way too repetitive if we just kept using that. And also got to make sure that those are different. So let's go look at our sci-fi walls again. I think the ceiling may actually be a good one. So let's take that. There we go. Cool. And we could use some columns here. Oh, columns are so important. No one really takes into account how important it is to have columns. All right. So we need a column. We need some sort of column elements to separate the room, to give the room a sense of depth. You know, we got that nice little base plate wall. So let's go ahead and look for that. Let me see this one right here. I don't know if those will work. We may have to go back to the floors. I thought I had. And I really am, I'm pretty certain I have a column area here as well. Lockers. Where is the columns? Oh, sci-fi columns. There we go. I knew I had columns. Go ahead and import that in. I'm going to place this over to the side again. And let's go ahead and locate those columns. Perfect. Yeah. All right, so I'll take this. These are nice because they have a nice little base element, right? And then we can take our the next section, which is like the centerpiece. So I'm just going to scoot this up a little bit. I'm going to press F. I'm going to have the V button to snap. I'm going to take these two and I'm going to rotate these like that. Okay. And then I'm going to grab. This is a cool little piece right here. We'll press the F button to kind of zoom in. And I'm just going to get this wall lined up right here. So that it's close enough. Okay. So I'm going to create that right there. Oh, that's going to look good. And then what I can also do is I'm going to, in this column right here, right click. I'm going to create empty so it saves the X, Y, and Z. Call this column, and I'm going to set these underneath and call this a prefab. Boom. Okay, so now if I go to pivot, I should be able to move this column around pretty freely, and we'll have something really nice there. All right, good stuff, good stuff. And I have this wall section right here. That should be pretty nice too. And we can go in and I'll show you guys how to clean up those textures so it's not so dingy and dirty. All right. Okay, so if I were to do this, I would also create another column section right there. And let me move this over just a notch. And then we have our door. And so I'll make this a wall itself. So let's create an empty. Oops. Wall 01. I need this ceiling and that, and I don't need, no, I need these three. I'm going to take these three, I'll drop this into wall 1, and bam. Okay, so now this is going to get pretty quick and pretty easy. So I could take all three of these, line them up over here, right? And then I could take these, oops, this wall 1 that's duplicated, and where is that thing? 1, 2, 3. Why did I duplicate 1? Oh, I did do that, didn't I? Okay. So we'll have another wall area right there. You can see how this can get pretty fast all of a sudden. So if this was the end of my room, I'd have those two wall structures right there. Then we need to get creative, figure out what we're going to put over here. I'm going to hide that wall section. And because we have the columns, we can put elements around and then over the top, and the player would never notice. And that's why, you know, guys, if you can, always use columns. They give a sense of verticality to your room that I saw a lot that was missing. But like even from like this shot right here, because you got those columns, it makes that door pop out more. It makes everything pop out more. Just it gives you that depth, that value that you just didn't have before. So really, it's imperative. Use columns a lot. Okay. Just to save myself some time and effort, and this is the beauty about sci-fi elements, I'm going to center, duplicate, rotate, reposition. Nice. See how easy that was, guys? Like really how easy this is. So here's what our hangar looks like so far. I know it's yellow. I know, we'll fix that. But I'm just worried about overall layout. What are we doing? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to fix add a wall section up above here. So let's go ahead and locate some walls that would probably work really well. I got this sci-fi room wall. I think this may look actually pretty good. So let me see something. I'm going to go ahead and drop this, let's see. I'm going to drop this sci-fi room wall. And it's a little big. Hello, Alexander. Welcome. It's a little big. And it's kind of jutting over. So I'm going to place this. Let's see if this looks good. If I place it like this, I think that would look fine. Actually, it stretches it out a little bit. So let's go ahead and shrink this down. And then I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to hold the V for Victor to snap it together. And we're probably going to need another element to go in between these. Since it's not very attractive just having like a flat wall, you want something to break it up. So let's go to our front perspective right there. Nice. Yeah, and we'll get some like light elements or something like that to break up this wall area. And we also need to add maybe some sort of crown. Let's see. And then we'll fill in the rest of this wall section. And we'll also see what parts over here we can add to our prefab, and they'll just adjust everywhere else. In fact, what I may end up doing is taking these wall sections right here, and these wall sections will become part of this particular prefab. In fact, I could do it right now where you see we have this hangar door right here. I could take these sci-fi room walls, drop them into, let's say, hangar door 01, and then if I just click here and hit apply all, you can see that the hangar door now applies to all. Or says, are you planning on adding decals? Yeah, I mean, since you're using HDR pipeline, definitely. I think decals would be essential. Let's see. Put a screen maybe to show departing and arriving fighters. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be really neat. I think right over here, because we'll have this kind of like angle upwards as the big hangar, kind of like everything else, and then we'll put all the struts and stuff. This side we'll leave open, and this will be kind of like that force field that they fly into, that automatically seals and locks in air, so nothing escapes, nothing is potentially dangerous or anything like that. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in this wall area. This would be, let's locate something that would work. Let's see. Let's locate this floor. That's like a great, I don't know if that's going to work. That may not. Let's see. I'm going to go to, yeah, let's go to our old faithful right here, the sci-fi floors. We'll probably use just something dark. Oops. Let me place this right over here. Press F. That looks really good, right? Like you couldn't tell at all. That we cheated this completely. Columns, babe. Columns. Let's take a look. So let's see how this one will work. I may shrink this down detail wise. I may even let it come over. Ooh, that may be a good idea. And then I'll grab these walls and move them in front. Sort of like that. That may be an interesting option. Let's see. I need to get this wall lined up correctly. So for the past, I would say 3 days, my wife and I are thinking about getting a doggy. So for the past 3 days, we've been building um, dog doors. I don't know how many of you have actually installed a dog door into a regular door. Holy crap, man! That was like an act of God to make that work. It was so difficult. Like our doors are made out of one of the doors is made out of metal. I had to get a drill and drill into it. It was incredibly difficult. I would not recommend it. It was not a lot of fun. But we're gonna try to go to the pound and see if we can pick up a rescue. Um, and hopefully they have one that is nice and it won't attack my children. And if that's the case, we may have a new puppy in a couple days, which will be kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure you guys are like, "Oh, we don't care," but no, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. I haven't talked to too many people who are like, "Don't ever do it. It's the worst experience in the world." Everyone's always said, pick if you can, pick up a shelter dog, and they'll be good. Let's see. Oh, Blake's got a rescue. Um, yeah, the one thing I'm scared of, and I know this is just like me being over precautious, is I just don't want a dog to be aggressive with my kids. I mean, if the dog craps in the house, the dog craps in the house. Everyone craps. It's just I don't want to deal with my kids having any sort of trauma from a rescue. So that's the only thing I worry about. Other than that, though, I think it's going to be awesome. Okay, let's see. Do you guys have a rescue dog? It looks like Blake has one. Adam has one. Oh, good. Okay, so I'm not the only one here then. Let's see. It takes a little time for the dogs to adjust. Training, lots of training. Yeah. Good thing we have a virus that is keeping us from actually going outside anywhere and doing anything social. I think all we can do right now is just train. Okay. So look how easy it was to hide that door right there. That was pretty darn easy. I'm not gonna lie. So if I go ahead and grab all these sci-fi doors and walls, and I drop those into one, then I should be able to click on this and hit override, apply all, and guess what? All of our hangar doors are now fully booked, which is why I always say, make sure you set these at prefabs, especially with sci-fi levels. I mean, this is what makes building sci-fi levels easy, is when you can just hit one button and everything's done. Be firm and consistent, and the dog will behave. A dog was a rescue too, didn't know at the time. Take him home with me. He was going to be put down. Oh. Yeah, I just got to be careful with that. Yeah. Well, and my son, my oldest son, he's a very sensitive young man, and he gets scared really easily. So I'm a little overprotective on him because I don't want him to you know, um, get freaked out by having a puppy. So I got to worry about that, but I think he'll be fine. I honestly do. Okay. I think these are looking pretty darn good, guys. Like, truthfully, I think this is looking really good. Okay, so I think that looks really good. If I were to just take these three and duplicate these, and we'll create our arch, how would it look? Boy, that looks pretty simple, doesn't it? I mean, that wasn't a whole lot of work. um, I was expecting this to be a lot more complicated, but I don't think it's going to be. So if I were to duplicate this again, we will have to add something here. What I may have to do is I may have to reverse these. So if I were to select these three, right, and go back here, reverse it. Or I'm sorry. No, I like that. If I were to take these three, reverse this. All right, and then hold the V for Victor. Oh, let me snap it right here. Boom. Okay. There we go. Nice. Nice. Okay. So that was pretty quick and easy. So if I grab all these three. Oops. Here we go. Let me move that out. Okay. I'm just going to pull these away for a second. I'm going to select this base plate right here. I'm going to create an empty game object. I'm going to move this down here, and I'm going to call this what should I call this? I should call this hangar arch walls, right? And then I could select this, all this stuff, right? Drop this into hangar arched walls. So if I turn it off and on, yes, that works. And then I drop this into my prefab folder. I got prefabs and prefabs. Boom. Okay. And now if I hit the pivot, it's right at the bottom. Perfect. So I can delete these, duplicate. Cool. This level design's going a little bit too fast, guys. I mean, we've only been doing this for an hour and a half. I'm worried that we may end up finishing modeling this whole thing in one day stream, and then you guys are going to be like, well, I guess we need to get Filebase. Clearly, it is the most amazing tool ever. Let's see. I think this looks good. That looks pretty dope. I gotta admit, that looks pretty dope. And we'll add more details to it. I think this wall element is a little short, though, because I can kind of see a little crack here, right at the base. So what I'll do is let me go to this wall. I think I can adjust this prefab. Where are you at? If I were to adjust this particular prefab, I believe it will adjust all of them. Oh, no. Gotta adjust these individually. No worries, though. Right. And then I'll do override, apply all. And then we'll have to worry about the ceiling elements next. Yeah, I could copy the same old one and redo it. Yeah. Which I may have to do. Let me think about this, because I may make this an entire prefab right here when the time comes. So that little gap is going to drive me nuts. Let's see something. V to vertex, thank you. All right, V to vertex. Snap. Perfect. Now I don't see anything over there. Don't see anything over here. So now we should probably create this wall right here. Let's use some reference photo here. Okay. Ooh, so these things are not nearly as angled. I think it may be a little too angled. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, it's not nearly as angled as well. So let's just adjust this. Let's see, 1, 2. I don't need that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go to centered. I'm just going to adjust this so it's not as extreme of an angle pitch. Okay. So let's see. All right, and then I can do an override, apply all, and that will fix that one as well. And then I'll have to do something around these areas so that you don't see the elements in here as well. Save and save often. All right, this is looking pretty cool. Okay, what else is there? We need to fill in this area right here. So what can I fill this in with? Let's take a look. Is there a way? Yes, there is. When you select the object, see that yellow outline, it's in your gizmos. I believe it's selection outline. You could turn that on. Or you could just turn off gizmos altogether. And then, oh. Yeah. Oh, yep. No, you need to turn off the selection outline. I also like getting rid of the 3D icons, because sometimes those icons get so damn big. They're like in your face. Okay. So we need to add some wall elements, and we need to make it look good. So we need to kit bash that. Let's get some inspiration here. These are like straight up and down vertical ones, and maybe like a straight up and down vertical will do really well against these kind of horizontal elements. So let's see. I want to do a locate on a wall element that is very, let me take a look at this. That's very vertical right there. Let's take a look at these. These may be the answer right here. Okay. Pressing the F button to focus. All right. Let's see if this is any good. Now, I mean, these are great because I got that nice grid pattern. Maybe I can use this one right here, but the other one is way too industrial. Nope, I don't like it. Let's see. That's a nice floor element. I don't know if that would work, though. Let's take a look at this floor. Let's take a look. Press F to focus. Yeah, that's too gritty. I think I may just use these regular floors, and I will yeah, these are nice and clean, I think. So I'll use these regular sci-fi floors. I turned you off. And then we will post this like that. Time for a Filebase run. I don't know. I think we may be able to pull this off. So let's do some verticals right here. And then what I'm going to do is go grab, I want a nice horizontal. And this will create some nice lines too. This may work. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and there'll be a nice clean type of wall section that will go right in there. So I'm just going to select, let's say that one right there, right click, create an empty game object, and I will call this hangar wall clean 01, and we'll drop that into here, and I'm going to place this over here. All right, where are we starting? Nice. So I think we need to add one more round of elements up here. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can actually oh, so stupid me. Sorry, I am so stupid. Let me undo this. I need to make this a prefab. So let's see, hangar wall clean 01. And I need to do that for a very specific reason. But grab this. Whoops. Move this back. So let's say right here. Let's see. Let's see. Did I clear that? Oh, it's just slightly off. All right. But yeah, once you get that there, if you click on your clean hanger 1, there's this like little arrow. If you click that, it'll take you to your prefab. And then I can adjust, my prefab here and add, 1 or 2 more segments. And then you hit the back arrow up here and it takes you back. So, maybe these extra ones didn't need to be added. Go back, and there we go. Now we got an idea of what we have. I'm just going to kind of position this up a little higher, a little further out. And let's see. You could see the ridge right there. Make this a little longer. There we go. Pretty straightforward right there, right? So I can take this and dump this into hangar door 01 and hit apply all. And I can now go ahead and grab these hangar columns, hangar door 01, and hit apply all. And now you can see, wow, this is going pretty quickly. This one will be an issue. Let's see. So this is hangar arched walls. So I'm going to break this prefab. So I'm going to unpack this. Where are you? Oh, those are the arched walls. Oops. That's this one right here. If I this one. Right click, unpack prefab. Then this prefab is different than these other ones. And then what I could do is select, these different elements and either erase them or redo them. I'm actually going to probably just redo these very quickly. So I'm going to right click on these and unpack those. Select those. Let's see. Let's see. That's unpacked. And this one I'm going to unpack as well. Or actually, I don't need to unpack that. Let me see. I may not need to unpack these. I don't. I just need to select these 3. Oh no, I do need to unpack because this is all one system. Yep. So let me unpack these 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then I could take this one. And this is why that snapping is so important. If you don't do it, it's really hard to get this to line up correctly. But because we're snapping it, it's easy to go from, a 45 to a 30 to, whatever degree angle we need to get to. I think that looks pretty cool. I mean, considering we started not too long ago, it's definitely coming together pretty quickly. All right. I dig this. And the beauty is that okay, for those of you who don't do the game design too often. So, we are, let me hangar door 02, and I'll just leave that like that. We are using modular assets, and when you use modular assets, the beauty is that, so all of these columns right here are pulling from one texture. Like these 3 different columns are pulling from one texture set, which is great because they're low vertice to begin with, but then also because they're pulling from one texture set, they don't have to create a new texture set for every time it's displayed on screen. And since you're running a game at real time, it could be very taxing to have to constantly load in new materials all the time. So, we've built all these assets to kind of replicate the same material over and over and over again. So at runtime, Unity only has to load the material once. And then every time it shows it, it's just pulling it up in RAM over and over and over. So it's kind of nice to do it that way. And it's pretty optimal and efficient. Okay. Let's see. How does this look without light? Oh, is that why the directional light is on? No. Why is everything so dark? Did I turn off my rendering window? Rendering, light settings, auto generate. Okay. There we go. Much brighter, much easier to see. Okay. Okay, I am very happy so far. This looks pretty good. I need to find a wall that's going to fill in this area. So let's go back to our reference photo and see what we could see. Okay, so we got more straight up and down verticals, basically. So I will probably take this same kind of treatment right here and use this as my vertical that goes in between this column. And so it'll have that positive space and negative space. And what I mean by that is this is like a negative. It's really dark. It's really simple. And then you have your positive, the showy outline-ish, showy detail, then negative, then positive, then negative, then positive. Just gives your eye a chance to breathe here. So, it's nice. Let's see. Michael Shade says, artist noob, does that have to do with UV mapping and they look to the same texture sheet? Yes, you are 100% correct. So basically what ends up happening is when you UV unwrap a game object, let's say these 3 column pieces right here on a texture sheet. Can I even open it up? Yeah, I think I can. Sci-fi columns. Where are you? Sci-fi columns. I think this would probably be the easiest way. And you can see like the smoke that goes behind everything. If I go to show and explore, and I could see where sci-fi columns is right here, right? So 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to take these over to my 3D software. Oops. FBX. Okay. So here's my column. I can go to my perspective mode and you could see, here's the amount of information, here's the amount of polygons. I can go to my UV. And this is my UV pattern. Now you see that your UVs are only using a small part of what is actually in this geometry. But then I go to 2, and you can see that's using a small part. So I'll show you how this works. And I'll put this one here, and I'll go to 1, copy, go over here, paste. Now I got all 3 in this scene. But they're using separate UVs, so they will never intersect with each other, right? But what happens when I connect these? So right-click, connect and delete. Okay, so now you can see all these textures are applying the same texture sheet. So now there's even more textures on this thing that are being used by that same texture sheet as well. So, even more optimization, but you can kind of see how that works. So let's go to startup. Oh. And I just keep this 3D program on in the background because you never know when we're going to need it. Okay, and then I'm going to go to, oh, look at that. So Amir is online. Amir. Amir is actually one of our artists who builds a lot of these beautiful, beautiful assets. I believe Amir may have even made these assets. I'm not sure. It was a while ago, but I know, yeah, I think Amir, you made a lot of these sci-fi assets. If I do recall, you made, let's see, I don't think you made these walls, but if I do a sci-fi search, a lot of these turrets Amir made. Weapons, the plasma, I believe he made that as well. A lot of these guns, not, I don't think these ones, I know he did these walls. These sci-fi terminal panels Amir made. These are just beautiful, gorgeous. Look at these things. These are awesome. But yeah, so we got our artists, and again, when Home Dude is on here complaining that it costs money to download Filebase, I always think, that's because I'm employing awesome people like Amir to work for GDHQ to build awesome stuff. So I ain't giving away his stuff for free. And it's just it's that back and forth. Like, you gotta take care of everybody. So let's see. Oh, Diago's on here too. What are you guys doing here? What are you people doing here? Like, yeah, we're just gonna chill. We're tired. We're just gonna hang out for a while. Let's see. So I'll set this to 90. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create kind of like that wall that fits into this little gap right here. So let's think about how we want to do that, how we want this to look. So I'm going to take this this wall clean. I'm going to unpack this. and I'm going to call this wall clean 02. And then I'm going to take these elements. Let's see what we can do to fit this in here. I may even add additional flooring because I'm probably going to build this more around the modular elements than I am going to build around a like required size for these walls. So let's see, because I think that looks better. You give it some space. Yeah, I think that will look good right there. And you know, there's an interesting option here. Do we even have to make sure that this part of the wall is arched, or could we even take this part of the wall? And here's something interesting. And you know, it has this arch, but the arch begins, let's say, up here. And so now we got this sort of like a recess inside of this area. I think that, and then in this recess area, we can add some like lights and CG elements into it. And then, you know, that would be, I think that would be a lot nicer, honestly, to do something like that versus just kind of simply repeating the exact same pattern. I think that may be what we do next. You know, I love doing these level designs because it's just, this is freedom for me right here. Like, this is just instantaneous thoughts. What would be cool? There's no pattern. There's no like, oh, you have to click this button. Like, coding gets difficult because if you don't do it right, it's just wrong. It breaks. Whereas with this, you know, I could test things out and see if I like it or if I don't. And if I don't, I could adjust it. And I don't know. I've always liked level design a lot more. I think that's a much better look. You know, let's layer it. Let's give it some depth. Yes, yes, yes. I think that's the way we should go. And then I'll take these these floors and ooh, that would look nice. I think that's gonna be gorgeous. Whoops. All right, so I'm gonna rotate this to a full 90. Take this like that. Oh yeah, there it is. There we go. All right. Oh, that's gonna look good. There we go. And we can actually alternate this one. I think that would be a good thing to do. So we'll take this and I'll slap this as a, if you put this as a child, it will place it in the same PSR, position, scale, rotation. And then I'll move it down into the side. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, and we'll duplicate these. Oh yeah, that's the ticket right there. That's the stuff. All right, I'll just make sure that this wall is a little closer. And I think we should be good. Oh. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So I'll select these 5. I'll duplicate this. I will position this over here. And I'm going to rotate vertically, flip horizontally, and then rotate back vertically. Now just, let's see. These are opposite direction. Oops. So, should we do just a negative scale? Let's see. Oops. Is it on the negative on the Y? There we go. That looks a lot better. I like that. And then we can add something right here, I think. Let's see. I'll drop something right here. And Diago is here. Diago's another one of our artists. Man, it's just like a big reunion right now. All right. We'll just position that right here. This may just be temporary. I may do something a little different. But let me get something in here. Okay. Yeah. Adding that depth. I think that's a good idea. I think that really makes the environment seem a lot more organic. I like that. Okay, so this is hangar wall. Let me go to my position, my pivot. Oh, my pivot's all the way up there. All right. So that's that. And what about this one right here? So that's this one. So I'm going to take these 2. And these 2 are going to create my arch that goes in between these 2 areas. So I'm going to select this particular bottom object, right click, create an empty game object. I'm just going to set this, right there. I'm going to call this hangar wall arched O2. Let's take a look. Yep, I don't have an arched O2. So I'm going to take this, grab these 2, drop this in. We're going to make this a prefab. And I'll make sure this stays in the environment area. Oops. Prefab. Perfect. So we can see that arch. Grab this, duplicate it. We'll rotate this around 180 degrees and we'll move it to this side. Nice. Now we got our arched wall. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Let's see. And this looks a little funky because we actually have to take this arched wall and whoops. Let's see. Oh, I have an extra ones here. Position those right there. Excellent. There we go. Not too shabby. Man, we went really fast. I'm hauling ass in this thing. Okay. What else is there? We need to create the walls that go above this area, and then we need to apply our ceiling, and then we need to apply the area to the front, and that will, I think, cover a majority of this level. Then we got to start filling in all the stuff inside. So let's see. Let me do a quick little bit of cleanup here. What are these assets? These are just extra assets. Those can go away. That cleans that up. So now I got the floor, I got the hanger holes, and I have my walls. Very clean, very clean. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Lighting, lighting, lighting. We'll definitely get there. Lighting, post-processing, reflection probes, all that other good stuff. But, you know, really, let's take you from beginning to end. Let's take you from start to finish, setting up a level, making it pretty, making it usable, kind of thing like that. Okay. So let's see. I have been going for 2 hours straight. I need to take a break. I need to go freshen up real quick, get something into my belly real quick, and then come back. So what I'm going to do is run an ad that is essential in making sure that GDHQ always stays funded. So I'm going to run this ad, and I will be back in literally 3 minutes. So enjoy, folks. Certifications to make you become a legit Unity 3. Introducing the GameDevHQ Pro Membership, a brand new subscription-based service aimed at helping you succeed as a game developer. This service gives you access to powerful tools, amazing assets, and easy-to-follow certifications to make you become a legit Unity 3D game developer and software engineer. Get instant access to over 100 hours of authorized training available through our built-in custom streaming platform. Earn your game developer certification and software engineer certifications by developing games for 2D, 2.5D, 3D, mobile, and even AR. The GameDevHQ Pro membership also provides the easiest, most powerful, and enjoyable tool to give you the freedom to create. Introducing Filebase, an amazing tool built for Unity 3D that gives you access to thousands of video game assets developed by our in-house team of artists, from weapons, tools, props, vegetation, vehicles, systems, and even entire levels. You'll see how incredibly easy and enjoyable game development can be. Your membership's value will continue to grow through the year as new assets are added on a weekly basis and can even be requested. We have made it our goal to help you not only enter the world of game development, but successfully build and publish your game. The Pro membership also includes a growing library of custom-built challenges and a vault filled with live Pro Workshop content. This GameDevHQ Pro membership provides you a powerful set of tools and training that makes learning game development easier than ever before. Log on to GameDevHQ.com right now to learn how the GameDevHQ Pro membership can become your game development solution. It's time to make 2020 your year with the Ultimate Game Jam by GameDevHQ. You've taken the courses, you've built the levels, and you know how to make a game. And now it's time to show your stuff. The Game Jam starts today and ends on September 30th, 2020. Yes, that is a full 8 months to build your game. But there's a catch. Your game has to be completed and published. No levels, no EXEs, no work in progress. We're talking about a finished game from beginning, middle, and end. It has to also be monetizable, either through ads or DLC or a sales price. No free games. It needs to be published to a mass market delivery channel such as Steam, consoles, iOS, or Android. We will only play games we can buy or download through portals the average gamer can access. No exceptions. Finally, this game has to be built this year. If you want to pillage off of old games, that is fine, but no turning in a game that you've worked on for the past 5 years. You may ask why. Because the top 10 finishers will get an in-depth video promo advertising their game in November and December of 2020. The top 3 winners will earn the grand prize, 1 year of promotion by GameDevHQ on the Best of Made with Unity videos. The first place will be featured on 2 of the 4 monthly videos, while the runner-ups will split the last 2 videos. We estimate over 2.5 million views in 2021, and every week you will have a chance to have your game featured as an ad for an entire year. This is why we need your game to be complete and monetizable. We're giving up thousands of dollars of potential ad revenue to market your game for free, and we are doing this to help you, the indie developers, succeed. There is no theme, there is no restriction of scope. The sky is the limit. Work by yourself, work as a team, or work with other groups. Stop dreaming about the game you hope to build one day and make 2020 the year that changes the rest of your life. If you've never built a game before, sign up for the GameDevHQ Pro experience and jump over to our courses to learn how to build a 2D, a 2.5D, a 3D, a first-person shooter, or any other game. Need assets? Our Pro membership gives you access to thousands of game assets. Need assistance? Pro members can ask help on our Discord channel, and we may even dedicate one of our weekly workshops to help you figure out your problem. We will do our best to give you the tools, but you will have to be willing to put in the work for the next 8 months to change your life. Reach out, share ideas, and meet other team members on our Discord channel at GameDevHQ, and hashtag MadeWithUnity on Twitter to possibly be featured in one of our best ofs throughout the year so everyone can get excited about the amazing game you and your team are developing. Your clock starts now. Your deadline is September 30th. A new future for you can begin as early as next year as a published game developer, earning thousands of dollars doing what you love with the support from your buds at GameDevHQ.com. We cannot wait to see what you create and let the games begin, my friends. All right, I am back, folks. Thank you. I needed that break. And also happy to know that 2 people signed up for Pro today. It's happening, folks. We're taking over the world. This is going to be the thing that takes over game development. I know it. I know it sounds overconfident. I know it sounds a little cocky and all, but dude, the product is solid, so solid. I really think that once enough people really start messing with this, it's gonna completely blow up, and I'm super excited about that. But yeah, we got 2 more pro members today, which is super exciting. I always love seeing that, and excited. Let's see. I'm gonna move my hangar door 2 over just slightly so we can make sure that. Let's see. Perspective wise, we're lined up. I can't believe I did that. We're lined up in the center, so it looks like an even gap here and here, which is important. So we're going to just position these doors here and here so that when we do build the walls that go up, I can make this hangar door 02, which is already a prefab, and it will just duplicate over to this side. Let's see. Blake asks, is there a way we could try Pro before you can buy it? I mean, look, you could try it already. It's just you won't be able to download all the assets. But yeah, I mean, you can import Filebase right now. And even if you type in the word free, here's some samples that you could download to test. And you also, if you look at our assets, let's see. Anything that doesn't have a home, I don't know why I picked urban. I just picked urban. So like this barred fence right here, anything that doesn't have a shield, you can download. But 95%, there's some stop signs and some street lights, but like 95% of everything in here, it has a shield. So but give it a test, and that's really what it is a test to see, does it work on your system, does it work on your version of Unity, does it work, period. And then then you could browse. I mean we don't have like 6 or 7 assets on here. You got to realize the scope of what we have. We currently have 1082 asset bundles. All right, so like just look at the sci-fi. 3 items here, 2 items, 3, 1, 1, 4, no 5, 3, 5, no 6, 3. This one has 12, 2. I mean, these are sometimes singular, sometimes just bundles. And we average it out. If we were to assume that there's only, let's say, 3 assets per bundle, that would mean that we'd have over 3,000 game-ready assets that are a simple point and click and drop into Unity. And I mean, we got so many amazing looking assets that we're actually going through and even making even better by adding functionality. Like the next big thing we want to do is the guns. Like I want these guns to work and work really well. So I mean, it's going to be awesome. But these are just gorgeous. And just to buy a gun pack like this would cost you $40. And we're giving you the whole kit and caboodle for a yearly subscription. So what a deal. So anyway, we got these door entryways, and I'm going to focus in on these. And then we'll build the wall up, and let's take a look at some references. You notice I'm always jumping back to a reference. I always do that. It's important. So always jump back to reference, take a look around. You want to find something, and I can't emphasize the importance of finding something that could really click. Now there's an interesting wall here, which we haven't done yet, which would kind of bring some variation. It kind of goes up, it arches out, and then it goes back up. I think that's something we should do here for these doors, where maybe we'll create this door like here. It'll arch up, arch out, and then go straight up. And it won't be a huge arch, but it will be enough to where, and ooh, that would be even more exciting. We could even take these doors and push them back a little bit, right? So the hangar door is the main emphasis, and these sub doors are kind of pushed into the scene, and that's where people come in as employees to I guess a stormtrooper would technically be an employee. I'm not sure, but that may be cool. So let's see. I'm gonna start off. How do I want to pull this off? I want to pull this off. How do I want to do this? I'm going to, yes, I'm going to take this wall element right here. So we got the hangar door. Where are you at? Hangar arched wall. I'm going to duplicate. Actually, let me go ahead and hangar arched wall. I'm going to drag this into scene. And I'm going to press F to move this down. And I'm going to position this right here, and I'm going to position this right there. And then I'm going to take this wall, which is, and I'll make this even a prefab too, if this is a prefab. Let's see. Yep, no, that's not even a prefab yet. 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh, yeah, I should call this hangar straight wall. I'll make this a prefab. I'll delete this one. I'll move this over. Like that. And then I'll take this, duplicate this, and rotate this around. Let's go ahead and reposition these. So I'll go to a top view to make sure that my walls line up correctly. Okay. So here's what this looks like from this perspective now. And then I need a floor. And, this could be actually a nice area to put a floor that's a little more maybe unique, because you're walking into the hangar area, and we don't want your dirt and grime to be there. So let's go. I'm gonna go and attach this floor, V for Victor, to snap, and then I'm gonna grab, let's say, what would be a good one? Let's play around. I'm wondering, maybe this one right here. We'll snap that here. So we'll snap those right there. And then I'm going to grab these, position that into the center, move it back a little bit. I'll take this and bring this up. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Yes, that's exactly what I want. And then I'm going to create sort of this like a little border that goes right over here. So I'm going to drop this in the scene. We will use the V for vertex, because I should make that a t-shirt at this point, for goodness sakes. I feel like I repeat it every other day. John even calls it my magic sauce, which is gross, but at the same time it's like, that's That's not just what I'm all about, is snapping and stuff like that. Okay, there we go. That's a nice little entryway right there, right? I mean, it's clean, it's even, it looks good. I'm gonna grab these sci-fi floors. I want to rotate these to create some sort of pivot. And then I will duplicate that. And let's see. Oof, I don't know. These look pretty ridiculous. That and they match the floor too much. No, don't want to do that. Let's get a different wall. This may work. Yeah, that's better. All right. And what I could even do is bring this out a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That looks good. That looks pretty darn good. I like that. Okay. Yep, that looks pretty good. Now we're starting to get something going. And then I'm going to grab this right here. And we'll position this a little further back into scene. We'll center this. Make this a little bit longer. So quick question, guys. I have not seen the final Star Wars. We signed up for Disney Plus this week to keep the kids entertained. Am I going to be disappointed when it comes out? I've heard mixed opinions on this. And I'd like to know if I'm going to be like, "Oh, wow, that was horrible." Or am I going to be like, "Dude, everybody needed to chill. It was a good movie. Folks need to relax a little bit." What do you guys think? Oh man, seen it? Oh, you saw it a few weeks ago. Is it worth it, Ors? I mean, is the hype? Is it as bad as everyone says it is, or is it as? Depending on how much I liked 8. Ooh, that's a good answer. I didn't hate 8. I didn't think it was the greatest thing. It was. It felt kind of cheesy at certain points. Excuse me. Allergies. But I didn't think it was the worst movie in the world. Like a lot of people thought it was the end of the franchise, and I was like, it's interesting. I thought the Force Awakens was a better movie, but again, I did not hate the 8. It's better than Jar Jar. I think, yeah. So I let my sons watch the prequel trilogy, and I'm just like, oh, these are really bad. I like I didn't like it when I first saw the original prequels, but then I saw it again, and I'm like, whoa, this oh, the acting is just like these are decent actors, and I could see how this was a struggle because it was brutal to watch. Um, yeah. I don't even think my kids liked Jar Jar, and they're young. They're like 6 and 8. Like they didn't laugh at his foolishness at all, which I think he was meant more for like that comedy relief sort of. I let my kids watch the prequels, get CPS on the line. The CPS would be like, "Did you steal from your parents? What did you do? What? Explain to me exactly what you did to justify this type of torture." So I had a I don't okay, so here's also the other thing is I had this idea behind um Star Wars that I don't know if it's actually covered in the last movie, but I was sitting down geeking over Star Wars with somebody for a while, and I had this idea, and I'm pretty sure other people had the exact same idea, so it's nothing special. Um, but we were all sitting around talking about the Force and how it's supposed to balance, right? And I was telling them that, what would be a really cool twist on the whole balancing of the Force crap and how they can make 8 actually work is what if um, there is this scenario where if we take the idea of balance to the extreme, that um, whatever side of the Force has the most Force users will inevitably be the weakest. And that's how it draws upon the balance of the Force. So, for example, now I was telling him, um, let's say we take the prequels, right? In the prequels, the Sith were basically gone, and that's why Palpatine became so immensely powerful, able to even hide from Yoda, because the lack of Sith means that they have to balance it to where the the dark side has to be stronger. Otherwise, you get a complete imbalance. And that's why Palpatine was able to rise to power, is because the Jedi were ignorant in the idea that it has to remain balanced. So they because they kept opening more of the what is it the schools to teach people how to become Jedi's and stuff like that, because Vader would eventually Anakin become Vader, etc., etc. Um, because of the way that whole thing was set up, maybe it was a way for the Force to remain balanced. Is that it knew that Vader was going to turn dark and that Palpatine was going to be basically omniscient, so that they were going to be overwhelmingly powerful versus all the 500 other 1,000 other Jedi. Then you get the original trilogy, and you just got Vader and Palpatine. Well, then you get Luke, and instead of him taking like, decades to perfect what Obi-Wan perfected in like, or Luke perfected in like 3 hours what Obi-Wan spent decades doing, he was able to like pick it up right away because there's so few Jedi, but there's such an immense amount of dark side Jedi now, at least strength wise, compared to Obi-Wan and Luke, which is why they were uh, what you call it, overwhelmingly. That's why Luke was able to advance so quickly. And then you got the final trilogy where you got Kylo and you got Snoke, who are very powerful um, dark Jedi, and then you got um, Rey, who doesn't even know how to use the Force, and all of a sudden, like in 2 seconds, she knows how to use it. So why does she pick it up so quickly? Well, beyond story arc, it's because maybe it's the balance has to shift in some way, and that's when I saw the end of 8 and I saw the kid with the broom. I'm thinking, maybe that's kind of the direction they're going. Is they want to get it to where uh, the uh, the light side force users have to be almost to birthed out of non-existence in order for the light side to even exist, because there has to be some sort of balance. So whenever one side gets too strong, there's always got to be a balancing. So like in the prequels, uh, Anakin will bring balance to the Force. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Like Anakin he has to bring balance to the Force somehow. There's 2 Sith, hundreds of Jedi. How does he bring balance to the Force? Well, he has to inevitably turn evil, and his power has to be so great that the 2 Jedi equal the balance of hundreds of other Jedis. It has to work that way. So, that's how when you when when Luke talked about burning the old Jedi manuscripts and stuff, you got to just destroy them all, get rid of them. They're useless. Maybe that's what he meant. It's because the teachings are all wrong, because it's all about doing the right thing, and it's not about that. It's about being somewhere in the middle. If you are somewhere in the middle, then there is no necessarily like right or wrong. It's kind of like this organic thing that has preservation in mind over a side, so to speak. I don't know. It was just something that I was thinking about. I'm like, dude, that would be an interesting perspective, and I was curious to see if they were going to go along that perspective, or will it always be like, oh, you're either good or you're bad, kind of thing. Uh, anyway, just talking out of my head. All right, so I'm gonna actually pull this one out since this is the one I'm working on. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Well, some of you have already seen 9, so you know how this ends, but I was just curious. Oops, what happened here? Oh. I have not seen The Mandalorian. I heard it's amazing though. Let's see. Oh, there was a kung fu movie that used that parallel before too. Oh, there was? Maybe that's where I got it from. Oh, the one I remember seeing that particular. I didn't watch it, but I remember seeing that at Blockbuster. Who remembers Blockbuster? Man, if I could have like the dream gig, I would own a Blockbuster rental. I don't know why, but I miss Blockbuster. You know, there was always something so fun about going down to the video store and just spending, 20 minutes, 10 minutes searching for what you wanted to watch that week. Now, the late fees I don't miss, but, being able to do that was quite enjoyable. I truly liked that experience. Let's Like, I know there's a convenience of getting your movies right away, but there was also something really enjoyable about, all right, let's go down to the movie store and see what's out. Let's just browse around. Let's pick up some popcorn while we're out there, and then let's do this and do that. Streaming for the win. I know streaming is here, but there are days where I'm like, man, it would just be nice to go to a video store and seeing what is out. Because I mean, and that's the thing, is like the late fees is what killed them. The late fees and the greed behind the late fees was awful. But if they were able to like do away with the late fees or something like that, I don't know. It would have just been awesome. Okay, that door was really easy to build. Um, let's see. They did have that fresh popcorn smell. Now, it's something I kind of miss. It's kind of a shame. I do remember that. Was it they had the opportunity to buy Netflix for just pennies on the dollar, and they're like, "No, it's never going to take off. This is the stupidest idea ever." Oh, oof. That was a bad move. I mean, how would you like to have been on that earnings call when that happened? Been that CEO that passed up on owning Netflix. Boy. And now basically Netflix is Hollywood 2.0. Like I feel like it's at the point where they could have their own award ceremony with the amount of content they produce on like a daily basis. Oh, this is why I love prefabs. They make this go so fast. Look at that. See, that's pretty impressive right there. Now you coming out. Ooh, ooh, got some clipping here. Let's see. All right, apply all. override. Apply all. All right. Look at that hangar. Barely any work. Oh, there was a tech company that was looking at self-destructing DVDs? Oh, wow. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, because think of all the waste that would have occurred. But that is like, that's diabolical. That's like Dr. Evil level of just evil. Yeah, evil. I'm gonna swap these two. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Look at our hangar. It's all coming together so quickly. All right. So let's go ahead and put those into our walls, and let's save. Secondary door, upper right. Oh yeah, you're totally right. F. Good eye, sir. Apply all. All right, let's take a look. Okay. I'm digging. Okay, so let's take a look at some ceiling work. So let's get some reference. Okay, so here's our hangars. Mostly just like a grid with lights in the middle of them, right? I don't see anything too special about it. Let's take a look at this one. Same kind of idea. I know some of them had some really cool piping and industrial elements going across, so we'll have to look at that too. Let's see. We need to get some red lights in here. It looks like a lot of like this blue steelish kind of thing with reds and like a dark blue steel grids. Looks like ventilation systems, things like that going over. So let's go ahead and try to add this type of this illumination light system up here. I think that would be pretty good. Yeah, let's do like a grid up there. So let's see what asset would work best. So I'm going to go to my Filebase. Let's take a look at what we have. And I think I want a gridish type of look. I think these may be the best right here. So I'll hit the locate button on that. And then I'm going to drop this here, and we're going to rotate. Oh, keep it like that. Bring this up to the ceiling. Set this to 0. Okay. Oh, that ceiling is going to be so high. It's going to be really impressive when we're done. Okay, so let's go ahead and create, let's say, a 3, let's say a 4x4. There we go. Right? How does that look? Looks pretty good. And then we need some sort of divider, I think. Because if, yeah, even if we did this like that, it would start to look really tile-ish. Like, we want tile, but we don't want repetitive tile. That's where it gets ugly. So if I were to take that, and then let's go ahead and find my columns. And what I could do is place this sort of like this, right? So it sticks right here, and then I'll duplicate this. I'll move this over to this end. Nice, nice. Okay. And then I'm going to take, let's say this center column, right? And I just dropped it onto the column so it would set the PSR. I could take that, I could duplicate this, flip it around the other way. Whoops. So now we get something kind of like that. And then, ooh, that might be interesting. Duplicate this. There we go. You know? So now we got this type of interesting little bit of a different type of grid pattern, right? We know it's a grid, but it's not so rigid that it's boring. And in fact, what might be good is going to Filebase. I want to look for what am I, strut? No, I want oh, what do we call these? Beam. But that adds some interesting detail. That's a large texture for this. I may have to go back and fix that one. Oh, what am I thinking of? Maybe this is where a good, yeah, let's go ahead and add this. All right, let's download. It'd be nice to have some ceiling stuff going on right here. Let's see. Blake says I'm old like him. I am old. I am 40. I'm going to be 41 soon, guys. Good Lord. Every morning, just like, wow, I'm still alive. This is incredible. these are going to make some really nice electrical stuff. Look at those boxes and panels. Okay, so I think hits is kind of what I was going for. Whoa, look at all us old people coming out of nowhere. I was just about to say, I, I, I'm suffering from dementia, so I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just online streaming. Just that old guy who's like walking around in circles. I shouldn't joke about that, but oh man. So is everyone here like retired and this is like their escape from life? Or is this like actually not even escape from life? Is this like the coronavirus awesome way to keep entertained solution right now? I feel like a lot of people are here because of that. Which I don't blame you. I've been cooped up in the house a lot lately too. Which I don't know how things are going to get back to normal. That is like the big question for me right now. How are things going to transfer back to where they were? Or do they? All right, look at that. Okay, I think we got a pretty decent ceiling here. So I'm going to create an empty game object. Let's go ahead and position this kind of in the center of here. Let's see. Ceiling. Drop that right here. I'm going to put this into a prefab. Boom. Applied. Now, I think I'll double this. And let's go ahead and center it. All right. Okay, so I think doubling this may have been a bad idea. Let me see. Oh, actually, I could just unpack this final prefab, I think. All right, let's unpack. I don't want to unpack it. Oh, here. I know what I gotta do. Okay. In this ceiling. Let's see. Cancel. Oh, let me unpack. Well, actually, let me jump to this prefab, and I'll clean it out there. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. back. Okay. And then we'll do this all over again. Duplicate. Duplicate. Okay. There we go. And we'll create a nice little like entry area. We're going to create that kind of ceiling environment. We'll use a lot of darkness. Oh, damn, Raps, you have ALS? I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Ugh. But hell yeah, make a game. Ugh. That's got to be tough. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a rough one. That's when you're like, why was I dealt that shit? But it's awesome to see that you're on here, you're programming, you're learning. It's just awesome to see. Let's see. Haven't been able to sleep in the last 2 days, so just keeping busy, thinking. Have I kept you up, Dreamer? Yeah, Tom, I agree. I don't think retirement's going to be much of an option at this point. I worry about that. I'm like, dude, I want to. Where's? I thought I was going to like be able to rest up at a certain point, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm curious. Oh, no, 5, 6. Where's this one? 4. Why'd you go down here? I'm curious. Yeah, will that make much of a difference? No, I don't think so. Okay. No. I was just curious. All right. Let's go ahead and save that. And then let's see. What else is there? We have to... I would imagine... Let's get some... I'm just curious. Because we got these openings. Of course, we got this major opening right here. Let's see how this ceiling works. And then we got to create the force field that goes around here. So what we'll do is we'll probably even take like this stuff right here, this like floor area, and we can attach that over here and lay that out in the front, and then we'll build the like force field structure that kind of goes around it, which will look pretty good. So let's test that out. First of all, I'm going to create in here, create an empty ceiling, and I'm going to drop these ceiling elements into here so that my project area stays nice and clean. And then your programmer doesn't hate you, because they will hate you if you don't keep that clean. Let's see. Oops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, move this out over here. I'm just going to pull this out into this area right there. Rotate. And let's test this out. I hope you guys see how easy it is to build stuff using Unity and Filebase. I remember just starting on this stuff years ago, and I never saw anybody actually build anything. using Filebase, or not using Filebase, but using Unity. Like, I always saw these beautiful environments, but I'm like, how did you get from point A to point B? Nobody's ever explaining this. So it's kind of something that we wanted to take kind of a lead role in. Let's see, I may actually reverse these. Okay, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and create an empty game object, reset. Let's say force field lip. So I'll make this a prefab, and I'll drop it into my floors. Okay. And then what else is there? There's just a force field area. Looking at it from this perspective, looks pretty good. Kind of a small hangar when we think about it. But it's looking pretty detailed. And then we need to, oh, actually, let me go ahead and put these doors on these doorways, because I'm thinking about it. I don't want to show, well, I can't decide. Such a difficult thing. Hey, Justin, how's it going? What do we do next? You know what? Let's pull out this yellow, because it's ugly. Well, it's not ugly. It's perfect for what it's for, but it's not what we need now. So how do we adjust this yellow? So if we select any of these objects, we know what objects we have. So let's take a look at sci-fi floors 01 through 12, right? This right here, if we right click, we can go show and explore. And this takes us to our E drive, where these assets are stored inside of our game, right? And if I double click in here, I could see my FBX materials, my textures. I care about my textures, specifically my albedo channel. Okay, your albedo is your color. So if I take my albedo and I drop it in to Photoshop, I have direct access to the color channel, and I could start manipulating the color channel to what I think would be effective in our game. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, and I'm going to pull up, you know, this EA thing, and I want to see, like, what are the colors doing here? These are all sorts of gray. There's no real color inside of this. It's all sorts of gray. So we probably need to pull this back from this yellow paint to maybe a type of grayish blue, right? So how do you do this easily? Real simple. You go to here. There's this little button right here. It's like a, what is this called? An adjustment layer. And inside of here, we can adjust different color elements. In here, I'm going to go to my hue and saturation, and it's going to create this new layer right here. And right now it's set to mask everything. I can actually set this and go to yellows, and I can adjust my hues, but the hues only affect the yellows. They're not affecting anything else. And I can even change the degree of, you see this little color area right here. I can go in and I can adjust that. And so I can go to, let's say, like a bluish tint. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . and I can bring down the saturation, and I can even bring down the lightness. Right? And I could pull all that down. And now you can kind of see the difference between the two. And then, we could go and select another color. So if I were to create another hue and saturation, it looks like I can actually... Let's see. If I go to my blues, let's see if I can directly affect those. I can kind of pull something like this. And then I'm going to go to my curves channel and maybe do some adjustments here. And you could just keep stacking all these hue and saturations. Yeah, you could use GIMP as well if you want. It's very similar. You can keep stacking over and over again. Your saturation, either globally or whatnot. And then what I may end up doing is creating a what do I want to do? I want to do a color. Let's attach a vibrance so we can get this a little more poppy. All right, I'm curious to test this out, so I just go ahead and hit save. Oops, file save as, and I'm gonna save this as a PNG, and we'll just call this blue, and hit save. Now I don't want to delete this yet because I have these curve channels in here. I want to save these for a second. And I go over here, and if I go to my textures, let's see, there's the blue that I just finished. So I can go to my material and drop my blue texture on here. And you can see how that quickly adjusted everything in here to be more bluish, right? So that's something that's kind of cool, kind of easy to do. So I'm gonna, for right now, I'm just gonna kind of stick to what we got, and we can go back later and fine tune this. So a good idea when you're working on these is make sure you save the Photoshop document. So I don't know if I'm gonna actually save it. I could save it inside of Unity for this instance. Sometimes I would save it somewhere else just so that Unity's not going to process this. And then I'm going to go back to my Unity project. Where are these columns? So we got the columns right here, right? I want to go to my texture, and I'm going to go to show and explore. And here are the columns. So I'm going to go to Photoshop, and let's see. I don't want to do that. Where are the columns? Oh, it looks like, the walls and the columns use the same texture. Oh, perfect. So I go to my material, sci-fi. Where's my walls? Walls 1 through 12. Where are you guys at? Where are you at? There we go. So I can click on this thing and drop that in. And then I can go to these walls down here. Where are you at? Okay, so sci-fi shader walls. Bring that one up. Okay, so right click on this, show an explorer, and then open with. You know, it's weird. I'm so used to using a Mac to open these images up that it's a struggle for me now to not be able to do that. So then when I go over to this area, I can actually select all 4 of these and right click and hit duplicate. And then I could go to my walls and hit OK. So now these same channels just went over here. So I can just do a file, save as, do a PNG, and I'll call this blue. Okay, so then I can go back over here and you see the blue texture just popped in. Take that, drop that in, boom. Okay, and now we got these ceiling walls. Why did I switch to Windows? Because of the video card. Mac is great, but when you don't take in a video card that's high powered, you become on you get on my short list, and I need a very powerful video card, and that's like my thing. So I'm going to duplicate these over, but I don't have to use them all. Let's go to, I think it's grounds. No, it's not. It is level corridor wall. And now, you know, with my brother sending me over that 2070, dude, like, I don't think I'll ever use Mac for like hardcore stuff. Okay. So I'm going to click on my curves. I can double click here. I'm going to bring this down. This is just too powerful. All right, let's test this one out. File, save as, and then we'll go to PNG. And then we'll go back to our Windows file, or our level. Drop that in. And now, yeah, we're getting some interesting looking stuff here. And this one up here, which one are you? Level room. I'm going to go right here. Right click, show an explorer. Bring that over here. Bring that up here. And I'm just going to duplicate. I don't use this one, so I'm just going to duplicate these 3. Right click, duplicate layers. That matches this. File, save as. And we're going to go to PNG. Blue. So it's really easy. And if we need to readjust these, we'll readjust them. You know, you could use Photoshop to do that, but you don't have to like rebuild your entire texture to do it. So, and this one right here. Let's see, where are you at? Right over here. Right click, show and explore. You know, it's all about giving you guys the freedom to make the game you want to make and not be in a situation where you're like, Al, I need you to build this because I am not going to do it. I'm probably just going to ignore you. But, you know, it gives you the ability to be like, oh, well, if he's ignoring me right now, how about I just do it myself? And you can't. It shows you how easy it is. So that's saved there. Boom. Okay. And we'll go back and fix it some more. But you could see how we completely changed the color profile of everything in here very quickly. But it still looks like poo because we haven't done any real lighting or reflections or anything like that. This is primarily just to kind of get the start. Now, what I want to do here is I'm going to save this real quick. I want to add, for right now, and this is just temporary, a plane, and I'm going to use this plane as a way to cover these doors. I could put a door in, truthfully, but I'm just going to use this plane to cover it, so the light doesn't come in through here. And I'm going to create let's do a quick material. Door temp, and I'm going to set this to like this dark color. Set it right there. And I'll just cover these for right now. Excuse me. Oops. Okay. All right, so I'm covering that stuff. And again, it's just a temporary cover. I just want to be able to hide that for a second. This will be the only area that actually casts light in. Kind of go from there. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, I have a bunch of ships that I need to add in. I don't even want to do that yet. I got so many cool spaceships that I want to put in this hangar. I don't want to put in like these stock ones. Like you guys are gonna be blown away by how cool these new ones look. Ugh, they're badass. But I think there's other stuff I can put in here instead. So let me just delete. Go to my reference and see what other stuff. So we're gonna ignore the ships right now. We need this like tractor thing, and then ceiling wall, and then we're gonna eventually have to look at lighting. And what we're gonna do is basically the same thing. I am not gonna put 1,000 lights in here. Um, um, these things are just gonna be so difficult to do. But what I am going to do is I'm going to create a texture. I'm going to edit the texture, find out which texture has something here, and attach some of these lights as emission channels and allow that to be what carries this. So you see these like little arch pieces, right? We can even test this out because I know this will work. If I go to right here, I go right click, show and explore, and I pull in my blue PNG, right? So, and I'm gonna close this. Okay, so I know that, let's say these textures right here are going to be the ones that matter to me as far as lighting goes. So I'm going to go to zoom in. Where's my navigation? Navigator, thank you. All right, I'm going to zoom into here. And I can even paint this in. Oops. Go to your brushes. And then I can just select this, copy, paste, hit Command T to transform it so I can rotate it in. And then I can just go to this one down here. I can duplicate, hit Command T. Close enough. Duplicate. Okay, so let me go back to my model. So I know I'm going to have these running down here and running down here and down here. So basically we're that floor texture. But I also want to make sure that my floors are separated, because I don't want the lights onto that floor texture as well. So I may have to duplicate the material and like paste it on to separate ones, which is easy enough to do. So I can actually call this, okay, so if I go to here, where's my Photoshop document? So this is going to be my emissive, and I will leave that right there for right now. I'm going to create a new layer and make this, oh, come on, where's the paint bucket? Thank you. Black. And this will be my emission. So file, save as, and I'm going to save this as a PNG. Save. Okay. And I'm going to duplicate the sci-fi floors. And I'm going to call this 1 through 12 emission. And in here, I'm going to turn on my emission tab, and I'm going to drop in my emission right there. So then if I select, let's go to hangar 12. I select these floors right here. So I think it's sci-fi floor, what is this? 1, 2, those 10. Instead of using this sci-fi floor there, I use this one, that's the emission, right? And I go back out, and now all those floors have the emission attached to it. I can go to the same thing here, go here. Boom. Oops. Right. Good. Oh, click here. Go to this. I think this will work for this one too. There we go. You know, and now we're starting to get that those weird emission kind of things going on without actually adding any more lights. So you know, it just, it is what it is, which is really, you want to think economically. Yes, we get some bloom in here. You won't even know it's not a light. Not a light. And because we did everything in prefabs, you see how quickly it makes this whole experience, this whole thing go down. Okay. So, and then we can even do the same thing. I know we talked about the lights and the grids above, right? So, where is this at? Right here. I'm going to right click, show and explore. And I'm going to bring this down and do kind of the same thing. So I know based on my reference photos, which we should probably pull up. Let's take a look. So we got these like light panels up above, right? So where can I stick some light panels? I could probably stick light panels maybe even where this current grid is, right? So I'm going to go ahead, create a new layer. I'll create my box right where this is. Actually, maybe I keep the detail and split it in half. So I'll create this. Boom. And then I'll duplicate this. Bring this down here, right? Boom. And then I'll duplicate these again. So we still have that ventilation, but then we have the emission. And we'll duplicate that again. Get it like that. And we'll create a brand new layer. And on top of that, we will fill in. Here's our emission. File. And we could smooth that out a little bit if we wanted to, but file, save it as a PNG, and I'll call this emission. Okay, so then going back to Unity, it looks like my emission already came in. So I'm going to select this prefab of my ceiling. I'm going to select all these tiles. And inside of here, I want to duplicate this ceiling. I will turn on the emission, drop this onto here. And for these four, I will drop my oops. Where is this? There we go. And then if I go back here, all right. Now I have this hangar that's going to have all these lights blowing up everything over here. And now we got this emissive scene. So we started off with something completely different. And just by adjusting a couple values, right, in assets that were already created, now we're getting closer to our source. And we're not doing any trickery. We're not adjusting post-processing profiles or anything. We're not manipulating things. We're not rebuilding entire asset packs. All we're doing is taking the current asset packs we have and just making some minor, tiny adjustments. And in doing that, we're able to create worlds that really we shouldn't be able to create in Unity that can emulate something completely different. So, kind of a neat little trick, and it's a very, dare I say, cost-effective way of building different games and different levels and different stages, is just going in the ability to manipulate and adjust some of the textures. Really huge, really handy, really neat way of getting things created. So hope you guys are like, well, that was awesome, and then are not like, oh god, I can't believe I'm listening to this guy talk. So with that done, let's see. Oh boy. All right. So what I want to do is I may create this force field thing next. At least the outline of it, of what it's going to be. And then after I do that, I'll probably end up restreaming again, maybe on Friday, possibly, and showing off. Oh, you leave the machine for 20 minutes and all of a sudden it's like this. Yep, no, it's already done. No, I may just do the front thing, get that fixed, the force field, and then before I get to Friday, I'm gonna try to upload a lot of these spacecraft into Filebase, so we can see these cool machines, these cool planes in our scene, and then we can start filling it up with stuff, and then we can also, build like the risers and ladders and all that other tech cool stuff in here. And then once that's done, then we can jump into lighting and post-processing and reflection probes and getting this whole scene dialed down to look beautiful. And honestly, I mean, I would think maybe a day or two more and we'll be done with this entire area. But yeah, I mean, it just, for what we started off with and where we are at, really cool, really fast, and I hope this is quite informational. Come to think about it, I'm kind of pooped right now, so I may actually call it now, but we could see, man, we made some really good progress. So how about we do that? How about we plan for possibly Friday? I'll send out an email and let you guys know. And then we will get the rest of these things done, and they'll give me a chance to get the spaceships in, and then we'll try to get it to where this has that cool Star Wars feel, and we'll go from there. So let's see, any quick questions before we start wrapping up this stream? Any questions, guys? It's amazing how that emission adjusted so much. Yeah, I'll do the same time, without adding any new geometry into the scene. And when we do post-processing, these things are all going to glow, and it's just going to be gorgeous. It really is going to be pretty. And the other beautiful thing about this scene is, again, by taking the time to add the columns, to change the layers and the styles of the way it's done, even though they're modular, even though they're repetitive, they don't feel that repetitive. It feels unique. We will have to do some adjustments on how this stuff enters the ceiling, because that's kind of like a dead giveaway. But I think when we add some ceiling elements, and they'll also give us a great sense of scale, especially with the ships in here, it'll look really good. Awesome ores. Yes, yes. Well, also, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys learned something amazing. If you are not a pro member and want to give this a shot, again, we have a code on the bottom right that gives you access to Filebase and all of our assets on here. And you can see how we could take advantage of the current assets, and just by a little bit of kit bashing, we can build an environment that was never intended to look like a Star Wars theme, and we could quickly turn it into one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will send out an email to everybody, so make sure you are on the email list. Make sure that our emails don't go to your junk mail. Also, put a notice out on uh, Discord to remind everybody of the time. And other than that, I am going to head on out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you learned something. And when we're all finished, I'll get this up onto GameDevHQ's file base as well, so you guys can toy with it. All right, guys. You have a wonderful day. Hope you learned something, and take care of yourselves. All right.